And welcome, everyone. We are super excited to have you here today. My name is Anna Etten. I am one of the co-owners of the Global ERG Network, and we are delighted to share with you the launch and the kickoff of our 2025 award season, as well as the Gen Impact Awards, the evolution from Diversity Impact Awards. So we are today we will go through we'll talk about a few things. We will talk about a little bit about the history of the awards and then where we are today. We'll give you an overview of the award types. And then we will do a deep dive into the application, make sure you understand everything about the application process and have all the info you need to be successful. Have plenty of time for questions and answers. And then we can talk about next steps. And please feel free to drop a note in the chat if you have a question at any point. I will definitely keep an eye on that as well, and we'll can weave in answers as we go along. So I'm curious, and maybe we do this by dropping using an icon or a show of hands. How many folks that have joined us today have previously applied for a Diversity Impact Award? Do we have any past applicants on online today? Ah, we do. Yeah, I see some familiar names. Yeah, wonderful. Well, we will talk about today's awards and a little bit about what may be different for those of you that are applying this year for a repeat or coming back this year. So the Diversity Impact Awards have a long history, more than 15 years, of recognizing the contributions of employee resource groups, business resource groups, diversity councils, inclusion and engagement councils, and their executive sponsors. And this award, frankly, was one of the first to recognize impacts in this area and doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Many long before many other organizations were honoring and recognizing the contributions of these amazing leaders. And so for more than a decade and a half, the awards has honored groups from every industry, from every sector, and really showcased exemplary impacts and outcomes from employee resource groups and business resource groups and councils. This year, and the name change reflects a broadened vision that we have to really showcase the way in which groups are creating workforce, workplace, and now also community impacts through their efforts and some success factors that we've identified. And so we'll share with you what those success factors are and how we are thinking about that in the context of the Gen Impact Awards in the coming year. So let's talk about the types of awards. So 2025, we are recognizing the top three ERGs in each of these areas. So organizational impact, talent development, developing a culture of inclusion, workforce education, member education, as well as community impact. We are also recognizing the top 10 enterprise-wide ERGs that are making impacts across all of those areas, as well as outstanding executive sponsors that are really going above and beyond their day-to-day expectations as sponsors and supporting the growth and success of your ERGs. And those folks that have really taken an extra step to give of themselves as sponsors in a meaningful way. I'll give you a couple of the high level details of the award. So you don't need to be a member of the Global ERG Network, although we welcome you to, and we love to have new members. But you don't need to be a member to apply for a Gen Impact Award. Applications are free, and you may apply for more than one award. For our individual ERGs, if you the application is for our top three. And so you'll select the area in which you have made the most significant impact, the way or the area in which you're able to measure the impact that you've made and be able to do some storytelling that you can share in the application. And you'll complete some questions and share with us a narrative about the impact that you've made. You'll tell us about the situation that you were tackling, the actions that you took, and the results or the outcomes that you achieved in your selected area. For top 10 organizations, organizations that are operating broadly and are making contributions in all of those areas, you may apply for the top 10 enterprise-wide ERGs or councils award. And then the executive sponsor award is, as I said, recognizing outstanding sponsors who are demonstrating active engagement. They are coaching and mentoring. They are providing strategic support for your organizations, as well as group development. As we look through past applications and we think about the future of ERGs and inclusion and engagement councils, there were some success factors that we identified and some common themes that we saw in groups that were recognized in past years and groups that are making measurable impacts. And so these are what we're calling our Gen Impact success factors, and we'll continue to talk more about those as you work with us. We are looking for organizations that are showing how they are innovating and implementing creative solutions that are solving challenges that are faced by ERG participants and communities. We are looking for organizations that show how they can measure, and that may be uh, sort of old school or traditional measurements and things like how many people are participating. And we certainly, struggle, I think, in with ERG and council work to find meaningful measurements. And so we're definitely see that organizations that are making an impact are also making an effort to figure out ways to measure. It is a process. It's not easy. We are looking for organizations that are showing how they're driving progress and ongoing development and long-term impact within the organization. Sometimes the impacts that we see recognized in our awards applications are realized over the period of years, and may take many iterations and efforts to achieve the long-term impact and success. We are looking at organizations that activate, that are mobilizing employees and stakeholders to take meaningful action. Those that collaborate, that are working cross-functionally and building strong partnerships with ERGs, with your councils, with businesses, with your cohorts and collectives to really amplify the work that you're doing. And organizations that are transforming, that are creating sustainable cultural and structural change in the workplace. We're excited to introduce these success factors to you, and we will be looking for demonstrations of these in the narratives that you submit this year. Now, obviously, there are some logistics. The submissions are due by midnight on April 30th. We will announce the finalists in August, and then the winners and the ranked winners will be recognized and celebrated in our annual conference that takes place in November. Location soon to be announced. We're very excited to celebrate with you. And we certainly welcome whether you are a finalist for the ERG Awards this year or not. We certainly welcome you to join in the conference. It will be 2.5 days of learning, engagement, networking opportunities to connect with folks. Many of the folks on this call have participated in Gen conferences, and so we certainly welcome you. It is not an awards conference, but it is a conference at which we will recognize our awards winners. So let's jump in to the awards application itself. And let me stop sharing for a moment and get into the application. Go. So we're going to take a look at the application in action. And I will take you through, we're not necessarily going to walk through each of them. They are very similar in the setup. You want to make sure you feel successful in diving in and knowing what to expect when you are completing your applications. So on the first page of each application, we have an overview of the awards themselves, much of the similar information that I have just shared with you. Um, and again, the general overview and details. You'll also find on this first page the various disclaimers and notices related to the awards or terms and conditions. I do encourage you. It is not an extensive read. Certainly, feel free to read through that. It is not as much fine print as we often find. And certainly valuable to understand. And we'll ask that you acknowledge that you have read through that to begin your application. Once you've done that, we'll review the eligibility criteria. So in order to be eligible for an award, the applying group, whether that is an ERG, a BRG, a network, a council, must have been in operation for at least 1 year as of the time of your application. Um, you'll need to provide documentation. Again, this is your narrative that you are completing as part of the application upon request. We ask that you do review your applications with your respective partners, as well as ensuring that your applications are reflective of projects, initiatives, programs that demonstrated results in 2024. So it may be, as I mentioned earlier, that this is a program or project that started a long time ago, but last year was the year that you're able to really get to a meaningful measurement and the storytelling that you need. And the examples are focused on the work that your group did. And we'll talk more about that a little more explicitly in a few minutes. But we really want to highlight your ERG's specific contributions or your council's specific contributions. You are often working with other parts of your organization, business leaders or departments, et cetera. And so while it's important for us to understand the context, what we're really hoping to see in your narrative is what your group actually did and the efforts that you made. So we will acknowledge this as the eligibility criteria and then get into the demographics. This is the fun part, right? You just gotta get through these questions for a couple reasons. I do want to point out in the upper right-hand corner, there is a save and continue later button. So you are absolutely welcome to begin this application and come back to it later. If I were to click this button, I'll be given an option. I can copy this survey link and save it to my files. I can also send this to myself via email, and I can come back to my application at any time. So feel free if you want to, go ahead and start your application whenever you have a moment. We know that teams may work together and there may be multiple people contributing to the actual write-up and the application language. So this gives you a chance to get in and get started. From here, first section is fairly explanatory. It is familiar to any web form that you may see. So this is your contact information or the contact information of the person who will be the primary point of contact for Jen, for us, when your award is reviewed and when you win an award. We want to make sure that we know who to get in touch with. And then we'll ask how you found out about us, how you heard about the awards, and a little bit of information. So this may be your business title, and then your ERG related role. This helps us understand who is completing applications and in our various organizations and partners, who is responsible for submitting the various applications. We also have a spot here for you to identify if there are other folks in your organization that should be included in awards related communication. Again, we know that you may be collaborating with a team or partnering to do this. And so if you select yes, this will give you a space to add two additional contact names and emails for people to be included in awards related communication. I definitely encourage you to do this. People have vacations and get sick and all sorts of things happen, and sometimes it's difficult to find a point of contact if we only have one person's email. So I encourage you to consider adding a second point of contact. And then, as part of the application, when and if you receive an award, we're asking that you have at least, we invite you to have at least one person from your organization come to accept the award and celebrate with us. We will provide a ticket for you to do that to the conference. And we encourage your whole team to come and celebrate. We often will have multiple attendees from an organization that were not award winners that are coming to support, learn, grow, engage, etc. So I'll put my little e-signature here and then click next. Excuse me. This organizational profile is essentially a benchmarking page. Our GEN members, our partner organizations, and those that we work with are eager to understand leading practices and frankly the shape and nature of organizations that are making a significant impact with their ERGs, BRGs, and councils. And so we've got some organizational profile questions here. There are quite a few of them, but they're fairly quick to answer. So I will take you through just to give you a sense of what we're looking for and why it's important. So here, this is your group's name exactly like you want to see it written on the awards. This ensures that we get it right the first time around, and there are fewer emails back and forth to confirm. It just saves time for those of you that are winners, as well as on our side for our teams. So we'll call this Big Time ERG. And then similarly with the logo. So we have all of that ready for you when you are an award recipient. I'm just going to choose a photo file and I'll find a little fun picture here. Look, there's us. Gotta attach a picture. All right. Now, industry. Again, this is supporting the benchmarking for our applicants as well as our member organizations. So these questions, the next set of questions, give us a sense of the size of your organization in relation to your ERGs. Because we have so many ERGs and organizations that apply, the context may be very different. If you are a 200-person nonprofit with ERGs or a 80,000 person financial institution. And so this again helps us gauge context as well as benchmarking. So we'll say I've got 4 groups operating in my organization. So my ERG, so I'm applying for my big time ERG, and it was started in 2005, and we have about 150 members. So I'm just selecting, sharing a little bit about my ERG. In this instance, I'm going to say we operate as a single chapter. So I'm going to place a 1, and we've given you a prompt there. Certainly, we know many organizations do have chapters and others don't. So it's not a requirement here. We are, as the Global ERG Network, very eager to be truly global and ensure that we are making connections, support, providing tools, resources, and engagement opportunities for members around the world. And so as we look at the regions and where the nominee groups members may be located, this is where we'll ask that you can select as many places as you may have group members. You may have organizations that select every one of these regions, and that would be amazing. Um, so that's a quick answer. And then the last couple of questions are really related to the governance and oversight. So the main source of funding may be through a business department or your executive sponsor, the main budget or your operating budget, And the department that you work with or the business team that is your primary partner, who provides administrative support and or governance for your ERG or your council. That's a little bit different in every organization. Now we get into the fun part. So, application questions. If you are applying for the top ERGs award, again, we are recognizing the top three organizations in each of these categories. And so, as an applicant, one of the things that's different this year is you will select your category and then complete the question and submit your application specific to that category. So let's say I am focused on organizational impact. And each of these question sets, and you're able to click through if you'd like to, and review the different question sets as you're thinking about, which area you might like to submit for your particular group or ERG. And each of them has a very similar format. We've given you a prompt here that suggests ways in which your group may have made an impact. Now, this is not an extensive list in the sense that you may have done other things that demonstrate an impact in this area, and we certainly are eager to see that and welcome that in your submission. So don't think that is only limited to these particular examples that we have listed out. Each of them then encourages you to consider, reminds you to consider new or improved programs that you found an impact in 2024. And then you've got approximately 500 words, 3,000 characters to submit your narrative. This is significantly larger than in past years. We heard you loud and clearly. For those that are multi-year applicants, we are very excited to offer you more space to help tell the story of the great impacts that your organization is making. And we'll encourage you here to focus your writing in a situation, action, and results model. And you've got enough space now to do that. And really talk about, what was the situation that you were addressing? So if you're making an impact, say in a member or participant education, it may be that there was a gap in knowledge in your membership base, and that you created a workshop that closed that gap. So what was the situation? What actions did you take? And then what results and outcomes were achieved? There are, with each of these sets. Now, if you are, sorry, I'll pause here. If you are applying for a top 10 award, you will answer each of these questions. So again, as a top ERGs applicant, you'll select a category to respond to. As a top 10 enterprise-wide ERG applicant, we're seeking organizations that are making impact across all of these particular areas.
And those
sorry,
groups
jump in.
those groups that are applying for the top 10, that could be an individual ERG. It's not specifically for like an ERG or a DEI council. So like, for instance, young professionals could apply in the top, and they don't call it top 25 anymore, but for like the talent development, and also submit an application in the top 10 covering all 6 categories.
I would do one or the other. So if you feel strongly that your organization has made impacts across all areas, and that you've got some good substance for your application, definitely we encourage you to apply for the top 10. If you feel like one of the areas is stronger than the other, and this is really where the top categorical ERG awards come into play, is that sometimes we ebb and flow. There may be a year that you've had incredible impact in one area, but maybe weren't spending as much time or energy in another area. So we want to ensure that we've still got space and room to recognize and honor those ERGs that are kind of diving deep into one specific space, as well as those that are operating broadly.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Definitely, great question.
A group should only apply for one category in the top 25 groups. So
Yes.
you wouldn't, for instance, put in multiple applications for 2 or 3 categories. You just pick one of the 6, and that's the lane you're gonna run in.
That's right. Yeah. Great question. Thank you. Each of our applications will also include a section of essentially operational questions, and they are the same on each application, giving a bit more context on how do you know that your efforts were successful, and thinking about the ways that we hold ourselves accountable, the way that we assess progress, and the way that we communicate and amplify the progress related to these efforts. So these next questions, they are shorter answer questions, but again, give you the opportunity to talk about um, how your group was doing this work and how you made it successful. So, how did you hold yourself accountable? Were you holding weekly meetings? Did you have a scorecard? How were how are you keeping up whether this was working or not? How did you um, what kinds of anecdotes did you gather, or how were you doing that? Were you using surveys or some other kinds of tracking? And then think about your communications. How did your strategy and tactics support and amplify the work that was happening related to this effort? What channels did you reach? How many, or what channels did you use, and how many people did you reach? Anything that you can share in relation to the way that your communication strategy and tactics informed and impacted your impact. And then the last piece of the application is essentially your summary award statement. This is what we will say on stage about your amazing ERG. When you're recognized, it is the statement that we will include in awards materials to ensure that other applicants have a sense of leading practices and the great work that you're doing across your organizations. And so this gives you a chance to really summarize and tell your story exactly the way you might want it. I need to put something in each of these boxes very quickly, just so that I can show you the next final page. And the final page of our award application this year are optional questions. So again, our members and our participant organizations are very eager to understand the practices of leading organizations. And so these are completely optional questions. You are welcome to scroll down and just skip them and submit. But we would love it if you've got an extra moment or two as you are doing your final application to share a little bit more about operational practices. And super simple, again, quick answer questions. Who's involved in setting the goals for your group. You can select multiple people here or multiple entities. Um, Give us a sense of executive sponsorship. And as you can see, these are not required, so you may answer any, all, or none, um, whatever you are comfortable with. Understanding the rhythms and routines that your group has created that support the success. How often are you connecting? What leadership practices have you built? Quick question related to development opportunities as well as communication channels. So, how are you reaching your ERG members? We will be conducting a broader and deeper benchmarking study later this year. And so if you have interest in participating in that, you're definitely welcome to add your email here to let us know. But otherwise, again, you're welcome to answer any, all, or none of these questions. We value any additional contributions you may have here. And then you'll be able to click to submit. And let me go ahead and do this. I will submit my application. And then you will get a summary here of the application that you have just submitted. So I'm going to pause. Let's come back together. Excuse me. And I am happy to revisit, double click or deep dive, whatever overused phrase we might want to do. Um, and go back to any particular topic.
From all of my other BRG leaders, they talk about having submitted their video um, in years past. Is that not a thing anymore, or did I miss it?
We're not seeking video submissions this year. It was something that had been included, I think, in 2023 and a couple of years there, but it is not part of this year's application.
Hey Anna, it's Melissa from Ecolab. I have four questions.
Okay.
And I just wanted to make sure I gave everybody else a chance before I ask all of them. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify, can one ERG apply for more than one category, or should they just choose one category?
So a single ERG, it should select their most significant impact category, or they may choose to apply for the top 10. So
Yes.
if
Okay.
yeah, so I would pick one or the other if you are a single ERG.
Okay, and then that top 10 award, can you submit for your whole ERG program for that award? Yes. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, that is something that is I don't want to say different, but we're trying to clarify from past years is that those that top 10 may be reflective of the cohort contributions across
Mhm.
multiple ERGs. We also have organizations that have ERGs that are working so expansively that may be making an impact in all six areas.
Cool. Okay. Okay. And then do you happen to have an Excel version of the questions that we could have?
I do not have an Excel version, but we could probably make that happen.
Or even like a Word document, just something to like review the
Absolutely.
questions
Yes, we do have a
before going
PDF that
into
we
it.
can share,
Yeah, or
definitely.
even that would be awesome. Okay. And then my last question that I hate that I even have to ask this, I wonder if our legal department will ask me this. I'm assuming that the plan is that the lists will be posted publicly similar to years past. Um, and if yes, like, do we have the option to opt out of public recognition, or will they just be posted like before? Or can you just tell us more about that?
Yeah, so transparently I'm answering on the fly. But we I would say understanding the environment that we're working in, we
Mm-hmm.
definitely don't want to limit organizations' ability to participate based on concern for that as a factor. So I would say we are certainly open to discussion. We've had instances we've had moments, for instance, where an award winner has left an organization, like an executive sponsor has left the organization for which they were recognized, and the organization asked not to have that person listed. So I think we are certainly open to discussion about what meeting your organization's needs.
Cool. Thanks. And again, I hope we don't get there. It's just, with
Sure.
everything going on. But thank you so much. I'm so excited about the word and character updates and all the updates that you've made. Great, great work.
Love it. Great questions.
Okay, now I have another question.
Absolutely.
So if our entire BRG program as a cohort goes for top 10, but I
Mhm.
also, as just coexist BRG, want to go for a three, am I, can I do
You
that
can do
since we're
that.
separate? Okay. They
Absolutely.
just, as coexist, shouldn't do both.
Yes, and that is often what we've seen. So what you've described is what we've often seen in past years is that an organization, a company or organization at the top level will apply for the top 10 and include narratives about a variety of different groups, and each category might have something or storytelling from a different group in each of the categories, and then those individual groups might also apply for the individual award. So there is the top 10 for the cohort and an individual categorical award application. That's a great question. I did see regarding the video submissions, we will never turn down seeing amazing videos from your ERGs and your councils, but it's not part of the judged submissions. So you are more than welcome to send them, but we will not be, we will enjoy them and value them as part of the Gen Collective, but they're not passed on to judges as part of the submission. Let's see. Um, great questions. Please feel free to keep them coming. We definitely have additional time available if you have other questions today. And certainly we are always available to connect and respond via email. For those that are Gen members and have access to the platform, you can reach us there as well. Wonderful. All right. Well, I'm going to be your favorite person. We're going to give you a little bit of time back to your afternoon. We will process and post the recording so that teammates that were not able to join you today will have access to the same information. You're welcome to come back and reflect on that. We'll add the link to the recording to our Gen website. And again, please feel free to reach out at any point. We cannot wait to see your amazing your amazing applications. Grab us at any time if we can be supportive while you're working through. We will also provide the PDF to those of you that were here today, and anyone listening to the recording is able to reach out to us. So thank you, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope it's sunshining wherever you are, like it is here for me. And I look forward to seeing y'all somewhere in the world soon. Come see us in New Orleans. We'll be there on April 15th.
Thank you. See ya.